Hello and welcome. My name is Amanda and today I have for you the next video in my wedding series. And this is a series that I created mostly as something that I could kind of look back on over the years as I planned my wedding for the spring of 2020. But also I hope that in some way any brides-to-be find this helpful. And if you have already been married and you just want to kind of, I guess, relive the process maybe, or give tips and tricks for a bride to be, that would be really lovely. But today I wanted to talk to you about our wedding venue experience, how it was picking the right venue for us, how it was when we did find our venue, taking the tour and kind of looking at what we would need for the space for the day. So we had always planned on our wedding being very, very small. At first we had agreed to 20 people or fewer, but I did get Skylar to bump the number up just a little bit so that we could include more of our family. So we were initially looking for spots that were very scenic. We live in the western Washington side of the state, and or the western side of the state of Washington. There we go. And it's very scenic and beautiful out here. When Skylar proposed, he proposed to me at Crescent Lake or Lake Crescent. I think it's called Lake Crescent. I can never remember which word goes first there. Which is just this beautiful, like clear blue lake that you can see all of the stones in the bottom, and you've got a picture of like the hills and the mountains and so many evergreen trees in the background, and it's just absolutely stunning. And I was kind of inspired to go outdoorsy. I mean, I kind of always wanted an outdoor wedding, but I thought more about having like a scenic outdoor wedding because not long after Skylar and I got engaged, my cousin actually got married, and she did a sort of elopement with just her parents and her sister, and nieces and stuff. And they were in Eastern Washington and drove up to the top of this just gorgeous, I guess, trail, mountain peak. I'm not entirely sure what it was. And just seeing her pictures in her wedding dress with this raw, scenic, rocky mountain, tree, just blue sky background just sealed the deal for me. And I knew that that was kind of what I wanted. So I started to look at places that would kind of fit the bill for us. I knew that because we were going to invite Skylar's grandmother, it couldn't be somewhere too taxing to get into. And also I was trying to figure out, like, if we did an elopement style where we hiked into some place, like, how would I care about having my hair be kind of sweaty and frizzy and my makeup not being perfect and having to lug in a dress and this, that, and the other. And I knew that that style wasn't necessarily for us because I love hiking, but I'm not the best hiker, and I do tend to moan a lot during the process of hiking. So I started thinking about other places that we could get up to easily that was maybe just a short walk into. The Olympic Mountains, specifically Hurricane Ridge, was an option, which I did look into quite a bit. We were looking at getting an Airbnb for, I think 16 guests max, to have everybody at the Airbnb with us. We would drive up to the top of Hurricane Ridge, do the ceremony, come back down to the Airbnb, and just do the reception there, which was a good option. However, you need a special use permit, which is $50, which wasn't a problem. You also have the national park fee, which is $30 per car, which can get a little bit expensive. And the only place that they allow weddings within Olympic National Park or at Hurricane Ridge is in Picnic Area A, which has a gorgeous view of the Olympic Mountains. However, you obviously can't reserve it because it's a public area. So somebody in the family would basically have to go up and sit at the picnic tables until we were ready for the ceremony to start. That way we make sure that like nobody else got it ahead of us. It's also not that I mind having the public there, but weddings for me are a very intimate event, and I knew that it would probably bother me a little bit having people maybe stop and watch us, or just having the chatter and noise of people who are also trying to enjoy their day around. So kind of nixed that idea because, and another thing too is that because we're getting married at the end of April, that's in the springtime. Living in Washington, you can expect a bit of rain, especially in the spring. We knew there wasn't a lot of seating. I think there was only one picnic table. You could bring additional chairs like camp chairs, and I think you could have like a pop-up tent, but I didn't really want anything like that. And especially if it was rainy, you wouldn't necessarily get the views that I had wanted. So I nixed that. Another place I had looked into was the Salish Lodge and Spa in Snoqualmie, which, if you're a Twin Peaks fan, is the backdrop, or I guess it's the, I think, Great Northern Lodge or Great Northern Hotel in the show, which is absolutely stunning. It's this lodge that sits right over the top of Snoqualmie Falls, and they do hold rooms for like very small private weddings. I think it's 20 people and under, which was a really good option. I liked one room in particular that had a fireplace because I knew that Sky's parents coming up from California would be cold, and my mom is always cold, so I thought that would be really nice. The small wedding package was $180 per person. And then if you wanted to have the ceremony on what they call the hidden terrace, which has like a gorgeous overlook of the falls, that was an additional $800. So we were looking at 15 guests. And like I said, it was $180 excluding tax. The room we were looking at, there's either the cliffside or the vintage wine cellar, which was 8 to 20 people. And you only get 5 hours of event access. You get a 3-course plated menu with coffee and tea service, and it includes tables, chairs, linens, flatware, stemware, and votive candles. I think you can also add on like a cake cutting fee or something like that. But that would mean we would have to get ready at the house and drive to Snoqualmie, which isn't too far away, but it is probably an hour to an hour and a half from us, I think. So it would be a lot of time sitting in the car, nowhere to really prep to get ready, to fix anything up. And the rooms at the Salish Lodge, I'm sure, are absolutely stunning, but they're also really expensive. And on top of the wedding package, it was already getting to be expensive for what we wanted. So we had looked into the option of an Airbnb there as well, but just the cost didn't make sense for what we really had in mind. So we kind of nixed that as well. And the kind of the last place we were looking into, or decided to when we went back to the drawing board of what we wanted, was a place that Skylar and I both kind of hold near and dear to our heart. It's a really just memorable place for the both of us, and taking his son to. And that is the Emmel House at Scenic Beach, which is a state park in Seabeck, Washington, that you've probably never heard of, but it is this beautiful little state park. The Emmel House is a 1912, I believe, craftsman that was built on the park, and you can rent it out for a full day for events and things like that. It's got a gorgeous gazebo on the lawn and just a beautiful view of the Olympic Mountains. So it kind of had everything we wanted rolled into one nice little package, close to home, cost effective, views, place to run indoors if it starts raining, because it's April and it probably will rain. But that's what we ended up going with. So it's great because you do get it for the full day. There's no cap on time or anything. It opens at 9 a.m. and closing time is 1 hour before dusk. During the off season, which is I think the end of September to the middle of May, the cost is $567 and change, plus tax. During the on season, it's a little over $1,000. It's about twice the price. So either way, really, really good price. We obviously, our wedding being in April, we booked it during the off season, which is perfect. It means the park itself will be kind of quiet during that time. You get a mountain view, gazebo, garden. We can only have amplified music during the ceremony, which is kind of okay for us just because we're not big dancers. We're not big, I guess, like music people. And the bulk of the day is really going to be focused on, obviously, us celebrating getting married, but also having that time with each other's families that I haven't personally seen, like, my dad's side of the family in quite some time because they live in California, and it's just a good excuse and reason to get the whole family together. There's a kitchen that has a fridge, stove, and microwave, and like an old school wood burning stove sort of thing. And there's also 2 dressing rooms and 2 bathrooms. One of the bathrooms is downstairs, the other is upstairs with the 2 dressing rooms. The one that Sky and Maddie and the boys are going to be getting ready in has an absolutely stunning view of the, I guess, I don't know if it's the front or the back of the house. I guess it would be the back of the house, but it has a beautiful view of the Olympic Mountains. And then the room that I will be getting ready in, that's slightly bigger, looks out over the lawn and gazebo area in the garden as well. So it's really pretty either way. Included, we also get 100 folding chairs. They're just basic folding chairs, which somewhere to sit your butt on is all that matters to me. We get 2 8-foot long tables, and we get to use the picnic tables and rearrange them how we want that are in the nearby area, as long as when we're done we put them back at least close to where they were. The only other expense really is that because it's a state park in Washington, requires the that you have the Discover Pass, which is $30 annually, or it's $10 per day. We can open up kind of an account with the state park, so that way any of our guests that don't have or don't purchase a Discovery Pass for the day, we can kind of put on a tab and pay for them in bulk, which is perfect, I think. There's plenty of parking for all of our guests, and it's just going to be a really nice area. We can ask that they put up the volleyball net for us, though I'm not sure we're going to need it. We'll probably have a couple of cornhole games set up and just other things like that. But once we knew what we wanted, it was really easy to just book with the state park, having a tour of the house itself, which I've only been to the outside of the house. And the ranger who walked us through was very knowledgeable about the house itself and just the park in general. There's a gorgeous fireplace that we are able to use as long as we bring our own wood, that has stones from a nearby river that was built around. And that's also kind of going to be an alternate option for if it does rain. We can always kind of cram into the tiny living room space and just do our vows in front of the fireplace. But the space itself is very cozy and intimate, kind of just really perfect for us. It also has an almost completely wraparound porch. So definitely a lot of space for our guests to get out of the elements if it does rain, like I said, because it's April in Washington. So overall, it was just the perfect spot for us. I believe you can have up to, at this point, up to 100 guests. I think they're changing that to 75 because it does get a bit crowded with 100. And because we're, I think, only inviting 60, 65 people max, we anticipate maybe only having 30 to 40 guests. I think the space itself is just going to be absolutely perfect for what we want and what we need. And I'm really excited to see how the day comes together there. We also have beach access, which it's not a nice sandy beach. It's definitely a rocky beach, but perfect for any family members who bring their kids. We all know that kids get really bored at weddings. And one of Maddie's favorite things to do when we go to Scenic Beach is to flip over the rocks and find crabs. So definitely some fun things for the kids to do. There's also a swing set nearby and just little trails that they can walk on. So I think it's going to be really great for all of our family and friends just to kind of get to see a little bit of someplace that means a lot to us, as well as just be the perfect setting for us as well for our special day. I guess that kind of wraps it up. It helped that we knew exactly what we wanted, and we didn't have a set budget in mind, but we also knew what we weren't willing to pay just for a venue. So that helped a lot in narrowing down our search and kind of just us coming together and figuring out what meant the most for us for the day of. So, I guess if you have any questions about our venue or what else the process was like, please do leave those down in the comments below. I'm sure I glossed over something at some point. It was the only venue we toured. We didn't go tour multiple venues. We would have driven up to Hurricane Bridge because Skylar's never been up there, if that had been more of an option. But I think this, for the family members we're inviting, is just going to be perfect for us, like I've said a couple of times in this video. So if you do have any questions, if you have any tips and tricks for venue or day of anything, please do let me know down in the comments below, and I will chat with you there until my next video. Bye!